Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green, manager of the AFC Wimbledon Wimbly Womblys. Today taking on Morecambe, whose mascot seems to be an actual shrimp. A physical shrimp. Like, you could pick any animal that most resembles your football club. What do you choose? I choose the shrimp. We choose the phoenix, because we have risen from the ashes to go 6 points clear at the top of the table. AFC Wimbledon. The key this season? Not very many draws. So hopefully we will continue our winning traditions today. We've been killing it in terms of defense, as you can see, and also killing it in terms of offense. That's how you get to the top of the table. Today's topic is about my relationship with my editor, Julie Strauss-Gable. Look at that beautiful DFTBA Nerdfighteria on the back of Kennedy's shorts. My relationship with my editor, Julie Strauss-Gable, who's also now my publisher. And it was suggested by Meghann, who is a Project for Awesome donor who's beginning her own career in editing. Yeah, it's a weird relationship. I mean, for me at least, it's weird because Julie is also one of my closest friends. And I think, we've been friends now for 12 or 13 years and have worked together just incredibly, incredibly closely. And so for me, the idea of writing a book is so wrapped up in Julie editing it and reading it and providing feedback on it that I think it's a very atypical author-editor relationship. So I definitely don't think that like any broad conclusion should be drawn about my own experiences with having an editor. But my first editor in my professional life was Eileen Cooper, who's an editor, was an editor at Booklist magazine, a great review journal for libraries and independent bookstores to kind of figure out what books they're going to review. And it's an interesting process because, of course, like when you start out writing, you think you know how it sounds. You know what I mean? Like you think you know that your word choice is perfect because when you read it out loud or when you read it in your mind, you have a certain like voice that you're reading it with, and you assume that everyone else will have that voice. And I think like one of the challenges of writing in general is finding out how do I make the voice inside my head live inside other people's heads in the purest way possible, like in the way that will sound the most like I want it to sound. And it turns out that a lot of times your initial word choice is wrong. But that was a hard thing for me to like understand or accept early on in my career, that like editors weren't just, making something shorter, or fixing punctuation, that they were also there to help me understand the places where what I thought I was, the way I thought I sounded, or the way I wanted to sound, the way I wanted it to sound wasn't the way that it was sounding. And how could I do that better? Now, I mean, obviously that's a little bit different for a 175-word book review than it is for, a 60, 70,000 word novel, but it's the same. But it also isn't. Like, it's also in some ways the same experience because I'm trying to write in a way that's clear both to my audience, and then also that will be, I don't understand why I've been now convicted of 2 consecutive fouls despite having never touched one of the opposing players. But it's not just about being clear. It's also about being, John Green. Oh, Big Bird. He's just big and gangly, and he struggles with his first touch, and he's old. And he has a son, and you don't play the same. I'm sorry when you don't, the passion isn't there the way that it once was. But we still got ball John Green, and we've still got Autobilock and Fenwa. And that counts for a lot in this world. Get over to the sidelines, please. We need to do some throwing in. Osborne. There we go. So that is what I guess I see as like the editor's first and primary job is to... Akinfenwa, you've got to finish in that situation. That guy, he's a clinical poaching finisher. I don't understand why he didn't do... Well, he's got space. You don't want to leave him in space. Morecambe, because he will... Oh! Dang it. You do want to leave him in space, it turns out. It's fine. It's totally undangerous. Yeah, so so when I started working with Julie, I had experience working with Eileen, not only in terms of Eileen editing book reviews, but by then she'd also edited. Oh boy, that was a slow motion shot by John Green there. She'd also edited, many of the first drafts of Looking for Alaska. But that's really the only experience of editing I've had other than with Julie. Like, other than that, it's been, all this one particular person with whom I have one particular relationship that is extremely specific and I think probably not applicable to the vast majority of authors, partly because when Julie started, it's got to be, oh my God. When Julie started back in, Julie was also kind of starting out as an editor when she edited Looking for Alaska, and she was, I think, an associate editor at the time, and then got promoted once and then again, and now is the publisher and president of Dutton, and very fancy job title. But but I think for both of us, having been through the sort of steps of a career together has been really important because, she had to really struggle to get people in-house to read Looking for Alaska and to get them excited about Looking for Alaska, because it wasn't a book that, people had paid a lot of money for or had a lot of expectations for or anything like that. It was, an $8,000 book, and so she wasn't a senior editor. So I think that was really her first big experience of finding something that she cared about and loved and felt like could reach a broad audience, and then really pushing both in-house and out of it to get at that audience. And so I think that was sharing that experience together was important to us. And then, just going through the ups and downs, the downs of, my second novel not reaching as broad an audience as certainly as we had hoped or as my first book had. And then the kind of growing, the growing build that happened starting in 2008 when Paper Towns made the bestseller list briefly, and then with everything that happened with The Fault in Our Stars. I mean, I think if I hadn't had Julie in that process, forget about the editorial stuff. I don't know how I would have stayed sane. I don't know how I would have been able to I just don't know what I would have done. It was such a weird experience, and in a lot of ways, it's this unambiguously positive experience in that you're supposed to be very happy, but it wasn't an unambiguously positive experience for me because I wasn't very happy. I was really overwhelmed and freaked out and not altogether. I just didn't know what was happening, really. That would have been a great ball 5 minutes ago, but unfortunately, Ball John Green overran it, and that was our most promising attack, and I wasted all of Akinfenwa's sprint on a single run that came to nothing, and now I am sad. Julie would have told me not to do that. She would have been like, I feel like you should save Akinfenwa's sprint. She would have been right. Yeah, so... but I mean, as for the editorial part of the relationship, I think Julie, she reads everything I write and edits everything I write. And it's hard for me to imagine what writing or editing would look like without that. She tends to, I read a lot of things to her during the process of writing a book. And then, but most of it is sort of I think she's always waiting for that first draft to come in. And then once the first draft comes in, we usually spend about a year rewriting it. Some of that rewriting happens. Oh no. Panic. Shia LaBeouf.
Just do it!
Oh. And then a really good pass out there by Shia LaBeouf. Pass. That's good. See, that's how you preserve your Akinfenwa. Go. Frankenstein! Oh, I tried to run too much. I'm not letting the ball do the work. 72nd minute, I forgot to do substitutions. Frankenstein's exhausted. I have no midfielders to put in his place except for Riggsy. Then I got to put Beersy in. And of course, I've got to put Bolmany in. Bolmany doesn't work quite as well. I don't know why the FIFA 16 Wimbly Womblys are all E sounds to me, but they are. Riggsy, Meadsy, Kennedy, E. I love Riggsy, though. I'm just very fond of him. I don't even know why. He's not particularly good. There's just something about him. Something about the cut of his jib that I just think is high-quality stuff. Go! Yes! Pass! Yes! Oh, it's Riggsy! He's got nothing but energy! Pass! John Green, shoot the ball for God's sakes! Oh! Frickburger! I probably shouldn't have shot it now that I see the replay because I had Akinfenwa crashing the goal. And there's nothing on earth better than a goal crashing Akinfenwa. Oh. Shoot! Shh! Get there! Oh, God! Bio! Oh, it's like he's moving in slow motion. He couldn't run for that one freaking ball. Just get a little bit of energy there, man. Oh, we've got a reinvigorated midfield that's definitely making a difference against Morecambe. But it looks like it's all going to come to nothing, and we might have a standard swoodly pooper 0-0 draw on our hands. Come on. Come on, make a tackle. Yeah, so, the editorial process is mostly just me trusting Julie that when she says something is wrong, that it's wrong, or that there's a problem. Whether or not I agree with her solution, sometimes a different story. But I at least believe her that there is a problem. And that's the key to the editorial process, I think, is, having a voice outside of yourself that can tell you in a way that you trust where it isn't working, like where the sort of magic trick that you're trying to pull of making people believe that this is real, where they can see the strings of the puppet show or whatever. Speaking of the strings of the puppet show, a very frustrating 0-0 draw here, and you've got to hold manager John Green accountable. There's nobody else, I don't think, who's to blame for this situation. So I accept responsibility. Congratulations to Morecambe and the Shrimps on their well-deserved shrimpy point, and I apologize for not performing better. Best wishes.